Stephanie, thank you so much for joining me today for the League of Goddesses Spotlight. I am so excited to not only get to know you better myself, but to be able to introduce you to the women of the League.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, I'm thrilled that you're here and excited to learn more about you. So the way that this goes is we have 16 questions.
Okay.
Maybe a few more, if I get really curious, I try to wriggle that in. But the first few are going to be super fun and fast. And then as we continue on down the list, they get a little bit more deep and intimate. So The first question that I always like to start off with is, do you have any nicknames?
Steph. Really just my name shortened, Steph.
Do a lot of people call you that or just a few?
A lot, actually quite a few people call me Steph. In the military, it was Stevie, but I don't know that that would really be the best nickname for me now.
Yeah, Steph works.
That works for me.
Nice. Okay, when is your birthday?
It is September 9th, 1975.
Oh, you're so young. I always forget to tell people, you don't have to say the year if you don't want to, but if you do, I don't mind it. Like, it doesn't, I'll tell the year on mine either. I'm like, you would never know because I get all my gray hairs colored.
That is so funny. Yeah, I don't mind at all. I don't mind at all.
Me either. I'm very thankful for all the years. So it's just kind of like, hey, it is what it is, right?
Yeah, show it off. Absolutely.
I agree. Especially when, as you get older, you look better. This is great. All I have to do is color the gray hairs and then we're good.
I'm with you. I'm actually glad you said that because I feel like a lot of times there's this discussion centered around aging. And I'm like, well, no, I mean, if you age gracefully, there's absolutely nothing to be ashamed of.
Yeah.
So.
I wouldn't go back. I mean, the 20-year-old body was great, but I wouldn't want to go back there. I'm like, oh, no, I'm loving where I am. So besides the gray hair, I'm pretty happy. And even that, my husband was like, you should leave it. I like it. And I was like, nah, man.
I'm not ready for it.
not yet. Because it's really like all in here and that's it. Like the rest of it is not.
Yes, that's what I told my hairdresser. I was like, I said, it just starts to peek out from here and here. I said, all around my hairline.
Yeah.
And then a sprinkle in the between. But
so what is that about? I'm like, if it would be like, even.
No, but it's not. That's the problem. But I'm the same way. I'm like, I'm not ready to just let gray sit in. I've got to put it
dark. I'm like, oh, I like our dark, and you too. We like dark hair.
Yes. So, yes. Okay. Just stick with it.
Yeah, as long as I can, I will.
Yeah.
Okay. So then we got your birthday. What is your favorite color?
Black.
Black. Girl.
I know that's some people look at me like that's odd. And I'm like, no, really. It's just, I mean, think about it. On the spectrum, it's all colors.
Yeah.
But really and truly, that's like my go-to for a number of things. It's classic.
I agree with you so much. And is your second white?
Yes.
Okay. You and I are going to get along real well. We are very similar in taste. Okay. So then my next question is going to be, are you a coffee girl or a tea girl?
I am definitely a coffee girl.
Coffee.
I like tea, but I'm definitely a coffee girl. There's more to that.
Gotcha. And then if you could only pick one, what would it be? Book, podcast, or blog?
That shouldn't be that tough, but I am certifiably in love with books. So it would most definitely be book.
I am right there with you. And so since you said that, I have to ask you this question. Do you sell books?
I do.
Me too. I thought I was like the biggest weirdo, Stephanie. I'm like, I am the biggest weirdo. Like, I won't tell people, when you like sneak a smell book. Every single woman that I interviewed on this interview series that says book says she smells books. And I'm like, okay.
I love them. I walked into this library and it was in Mendocino, California. And everybody else wanted to go to all these other shops in Mendocino, right? Because it sits there off the cliff. And on Highway 1, I believe. I hope I'm right, but don't quote me on that part. But they had this library that had been around for a very long time. And when I walked in, I immediately I took in this I just inhaled deeply. And my husband's looking at me and he's like, what are you doing? I was like, I'm smelling the books. Can you smell that? Can you smell the paper? And like there's age in here. Like I love that smell. It's
what that smell
it's funny
is?
because some people find it weird.
You know what I think that smell is? That's the smell of wisdom.
There, yes. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna say that next time. I'm gonna say that.
Like, well, dear, I'm sorry that you don't understand what that smell is.
I know. That's
I love
pearls
it.
of wisdom for you today.
Yes. You know what it makes me want to do? It makes me want to make a candle and see if it would sell. Like just a old book smell candle.
You know what? I bet you it would. I bet you it would, because there's just something nostalgic about it.
Yeah, I agree. Right? I agree. And I no matter like how far technology seems to go, people still want books. So it's very intriguing.
Yes, they do. It's the tangible. And I talked to my mother-in-law about this because I told her nothing can replace it. Like I can't use a Kindle. I can't be on an iPad. I can't be on a computer. Like nothing replaces holding that book in your hands and just flipping through the pages. It's therapeutic.
And also, I don't know how you are. Do you write in them? Like as you're reading them, you're making notes and highlighting and stuff like that?
There's certain things that I underline. Like if there's something that I want to recall, because there's times where I'll read the book more than once. It's not like a one-off, right? I'll be like, I want to go back to that book because it was very empowering or it was very moving or something in it resonated with me. I'll underline.
Yeah.
So
that you can, with a Kindle, I mean, I know they have like ways that you can, but it's just not the same. So
no, it's not. It's definitely not the same. So I'm glad you understand.
Yes, I'm right there with you. Okay, so now tell me, since you are a book girl, what is your favorite book of all time? Like if you were going to be on a deserted island and you could only take one, what would it be?
Oh my gosh, that is a good question. And it's on the tip of my tongue. I think I shared this with you in the beginning. It was Wuthering Heights.
Yeah.
I believe it was.
I think you're right. Now that I'm thinking back, I'm like, oh, I think it was.
Yes. And because I have several, that's just it. But sometimes it's like I come across another book and it's like, oh, that could be my new favorite. But even some that are just really powerful in their own right. It doesn't even have to be a bestseller. But there's a particular book, and I'll have to recall, I can't believe I think I'm getting brain fog from today, but the book helps people examine their perspectives. And I remember a friend of mine she had graduated from college and she was getting ready to move. And she's like, I'm not certain that this is the right move, but I hope that I'll learn this in due time because she's going to LA, right? So anyhow, I gave her this book, and a couple of years later, she said, hey, I just want you to know that I've opened up my own business, and that book you gave me, I carry around with me in my bag. Oh. So you just never know. You never know what a book can mean to somebody, and to be able to take that around. And so I even implore people, if you find a really great book that has moved you or inspired you, share it with somebody and keep that journey going, like keep that inspiration moving into other hands. So that's what's really extraordinary about a book. You can't give them a Kindle.
Yes, right. And you could, but it just wouldn't be as good. So, girl, I agree with you. When I get books that I love, I buy like 5 or 10 copies, and I have a bookshelf over here, and I keep it at the office because whenever I see an employee and they tell me like, hey, I'm having a hard time with this or with that, I usually have a book. I'm like, oh, I've had a hard time with that. Here's what I read. And I kid you not, I love it. So I like to keep extras. That way it's just on hand. You're just like, here, have it. So
I love that. That is such a great idea.
That one I really had fun with. I'm like, oh, I really enjoyed that. Okay, enough about me. I don't even know how we got into this, but I am enjoying talking to you. Obviously, back to your interview. Okay, so tell me, now that we know your favorite book of all times, what is your favorite book currently? Like, what are you reading right now that you're just loving?
Oh, currently, I don't know that I've had a moment to stop and really read through a book, sadly. I know that there's a new book coming out. Gosh, what is it? James, he does all the legal, is it Pattison?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I should have been prepared with that one.
That's okay. No, that's okay.
But for me, it's like, well, I'm not reading anything right now, but I have my eye on one. Let's put it that way.
There you go. So you'll have to get back with us and let us know if it was good.
Yes, I will.
Post it on your interview when it pops up and tell us. Lovely. Okay, yes. So now can you tell me what is the name of your business and then a little bit about it?
Okay, so it's two-pronged here. I have a not-for-profit or nonprofit organization called the Pink Berets, and our focus is to address post-traumatic stress, military sexual trauma, and traumatic brain injuries. That for me was something that was very personal to create this organization, but for me, it's also been an act of love. So it helped heal me in the process. And I think it took me to where I am today in terms of understanding how to start a business, right? The foundation of what your business is and then building upon it. I think there's a lot to say about understanding how a nonprofit works and then moving into a for-profit space, because I think there's a lot more governances and a lot more scrutiny that's kind of held over a nonprofit versus a for-profit, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. And so it led me into my next business, which is a coffee business.
Tell me more.
So that coffee business came to me by way of a veteran-led organization that was looking to start their own coffee bar in their wellness center, which is the first of its kind. And I told myself, well, I know that I wanted to get into this business and I've been talking to somebody about this business, but we haven't pressed go yet. And so another friend of mine who's a veteran as well knew more about the coffee space. I was basically kind of like the marketing, the strategist that kind of came in and said, okay, there's so much more that we can do. And Reveille Coffee Company was born. And so now we're working through the logistics of building Reveille Coffee Company, and we have our first contract. And from that first contract, we're now receiving 14 more contracts. And so it's kind of spiraled into something that I probably didn't lend enough credit to in the beginning. So yes, and the unique thing that I think will lend itself to Reveille Coffee Company is one of the lines is going to be women-centric. And when I say women-centric, it's more about the power of women. So I'm planning, I already started my list in conversations. These coffee bags will be named after powerful women, women that have made their mark in their space. And so that's another passion project that's kind of going down the line with Reveille Coffee Company.
Wow, how cool. That is phenomenal. I can't wait to see what you come up with.
Yes, I can't wait to share it. There's so much that's going on behind the scenes right now, but it's definitely exciting.
Oh, well, that is awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Can you tell me now, and this might be tied into it, it might not, what is your bliss? What is the thing that makes you the most happy?
Entrepreneurship, absolutely, hands down. Just knowing that you can take something from nothing and build it and then watch it grow, and knowing that you put your thoughts, your heart, your ideas, just watching that parlay into something big and beautiful really gives me the most, brings me the most happiness, I would say. So I am now one of those women who encourage entrepreneurship. You know, I try to let people know this isn't something that you have to build for somebody else. You can build it for yourself. You just have to align yourself with the people that will teach you how. And I think that's so important.
I agree. That is so important. And what an awesome bliss. I mean, it would have been really nice to have you when I started out. Like, hey, I need some help here. Somebody that knows what they're doing, right? Okay, so I'm going to pivot just a little bit and ask you a few questions about the League. Can you tell me why you joined the League of Goddesses?
Well, when you first brought it to my attention and I was able to navigate what this league meant, I thought it really spoke to me on a personal level. It brought about the empowerment aspect of what I look for in anything that I align myself with. I love the idea of being able to share ideas in a space where women welcome them, or where women embrace them, or perhaps where women can build your idea or amplify your idea even more so. But really, what's most important is just the sisterhood, coming into something where women are embracing one another, where women are uplifting one another. Those things matter to me. So whenever I get involved in anything, knowing that that is the core embodiment of a group such as the League of Goddesses, it's very important. It's very important because I know that now my mentality is, oh, I wonder what they would think, or I wonder what they would say. And it's nice knowing that you could walk into something and somebody's going to foster that idea, or lift you up on your successes, whatever the case may be. I just love the idea of the camaraderie, because having been in the military, you do continue to look for the camaraderie. And so that is a big deal for me. And that was intriguing to me at best.
Oh, nice. I love it. I think you hit the nail on the head. It's a place where women can just be supported in the good times,
Yes.
in the hard times, and the camaraderie is, I think that sometimes we don't take it, like we don't understand how much we need it, right? We're so used to, as entrepreneurs, oh, I can do this on my own. I've got it. That's what makes us entrepreneurs, right? That we can, but that doesn't mean that we always have to or want to be alone. And so it's really nice that there's women there that you don't have to explain yourself to them. You don't have to explain, I didn't get back to you for 3 days. They all know why you didn't get back to them for 3 days.
Yes.
Yes. It's like, oh, I feel you, girl. And there's so much appreciation in there for each other's gifts, and then such a wide variety of gifts, which is what I love. Because like you said, you can just go in there and post like, hey, what do you guys think about this? And you get so many different perspectives, which to me is phenomenal.
Yes. So, yes. And varying backgrounds, which is really unique too. That's what I find really intriguing as well, is you have women from various backgrounds that I think could really empower you in ways you probably didn't know you could be empowered, or to be supported in ways you didn't know you could be supported. So I think that that's what makes this very unique.
I agree. I couldn't agree more. I love it. Okay. So now tell me, what do you hope to attain from the League personally?
I think for me, it's just to be surrounded by like-minded women. I think you would also be surprised to learn that sometimes you find that you're not in a league of women that understand you per se, or that understand where you're wanting to go or where you're going. And so I think that what I'm hoping to attain is just to be able to find other women that think like me, because sometimes you feel, and I don't mean this in an arrogant way whatsoever, but sometimes you feel like you're the rarity, like nobody understands maybe your thought process, or why entrepreneurship is so important, or why wanting to help this business manifest itself into something greater is within you. And so meeting other women like that, I think is extraordinary. But to know that I can attain building on that within this league is what's really exciting about this. So
that's awesome. And I think you hit the nail on the head. It's not arrogant. It's just sometimes very misunderstood, or at least that's how I felt. I felt lonely, and not lonely because I didn't have good friends. They were awesome, but they didn't understand that aspect of me, that drive and desire and willingness to do almost anything, to help bring something to fruition. And so to know that there are other women and you don't even have to explain that to them, it just feels really nice. So
right, and that they understand, because I've run the gamut of comments from, do you sleep?
Yeah.
And oh my gosh, is there anything else you talk about other than business? Or
like to work?
Yeah.
Like, well, it's not really working. It's creating. It's bringing dreams to fruition, and it's helping. And it's like, okay, well.
Yes. And I tell them too, it's not work if it's fun.
Yeah.
Right. And it's fun for me.
Yeah. Beautiful. Okay. So now tell me, what do you hope to contribute to the league?
I hope to contribute knowledge. Shared experiences. So I think that you stand so much. I think you stand to learn so much from experiences that may have been good or may have been bad. And I've said this quite often here lately where, there's struggles. And there's a quote out there that the lessons you learn are the lessons you'll teach. And I really stand by that. I believe that wholeheartedly, because I do believe that some of those tough experiences, those bad experiences, lead you to become a stronger person, but it also leads you to become more persistent, more determined. And it allows you to embrace the fact that you can fail, but out of failure comes resilience. And I think that that is what I'm hoping to bring to the league is, my shared experiences and knowledge. And you never know how that knowledge may apply to something that's currently happening in someone's life.
That's so true and so beautiful. That's what we all really bring to the table. If you think about it, your shared experiences and then what you learned from them. And if you can share that with someone else and help them on their journey. So beautiful. We're excited that you were here. Now, can you tell me who is important in your life?
I wouldn't say it's one particular person, but I would say it's my family. My family is very important. It's my driving force behind all that I do. A lot of my decisions, I think about how will it impact them? How will it impact me for them? Mm-hmm. And so they're the most important people in my life. And of course, I've got a beautiful tribe of friends that that have been around for 20 plus years and so on. And so I think that I would add them to that family equation as well. So it's hard to say just one person because it's at the end of the day, my family is what's most important.
That makes a lot of sense. And that's always a unique question to hear people's answer because different people take it differently. And so it's nice, but family is always one of those things that everybody has a tie to. And whether it's, the family you were born with or the family you created, it's just nice to have that family. So beautiful.
It is. Absolutely.
Yes, it is beautiful. And something that especially around this time of year, everybody seems to kind of take a little bit extra time to be thankful for it and spend a little bit of extra time with their family. And I know we do, and I always enjoy it. I'm always like, oh, I love this time of year because you really have, a carved out amount of time that everybody does it. And so it's just like, that's your time and work closes anyway. And so you can actually take a break and enjoy that with your family. So.
I agree. I've told people, in hindsight, think about your senior community now. Mm-hmm. I feel like the tables have turned. Right now, we're experiencing the very things that they were experiencing, and we're like, "Oh, this is so crazy! Why are we're staying locked indoors? We can't go anywhere. We can't." And I said, "Okay, so put yourself empathetically think about the senior population now, and I hope that this changes your mind about being able to understand, where the elderly are at, and just to be more thoughtful and helpful in that respect." So I had to put that in there because. I shared that with somebody the other day and they're like, I didn't think about it that way.
Yeah.
But it's true.
No, I didn't think about it that way either. And you're right. It is so true. We take so much for granted until we're reminded about it. And so, that's a great analogy because a lot of times they don't have the freedoms anymore that we take for granted. So what a lovely reminder. Beautiful. Okay. So this next question, you can take it multiple ways. So I always like to see how people do it. But the question is, what dream have you made come true? And that can be your own personal dream, or it might be a dream of someone else's that you've helped with.
That is a great question. And I don't think it's asked often enough. So I think that's why people don't ponder as much as they would. I would say my dream of starting my own business. I know for the longest time I wanted to, but I didn't know how. And I think that it starts with an idea, and that idea then turns into all the things that you had envisioned. And that's a dream. It's a dream to be able to have something develop in your mind and then develop in front of you. And for me, it was a dream to become an entrepreneur versus working in corporate America. And so I would say that has definitely been my dream. And I keep fostering that dream. It's like you reach your goal, but you have to keep going. You have to keep the dream alive.
Yes. And it changes and evolves, right?
It does. It really does. And, I think that when you're able to, I try to remind people that it's not about being successful, because my version of success may be very different to somebody else's version. So I know that if I made my dream come true and started my own business and developed my own ideas, that I'm a happier person. But also I'm teaching those that you never know could be watching how to continue building on your dream. And so I think it's very important to think about those things too.
That's beautiful. And so true. You don't even know they're watching, but they are. People are watching you.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. And I could tell you a handful of instances where I've been reminded and I'm like, wow, I didn't know that you picked up on that, or I didn't know that you watched me do that. So yeah, you just never know who's watching and how you're going to impact them and how you're going to inspire them to want to go out there and start their own dream.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. I love your perspective. You have a very unique one, and it's been really fun for me to just kind of listen to you and how you observe things. It's beautiful. So thank you. Okay, so now tell me, what does your heart most desire at this time? If I could grant any wish, what would it be?
Oh my gosh. Well, I can tell you because it was like this today for me. So we are, and this sits very near and dear to me, and this is going to get a little deep because I don't really talk about these things. We're hosting a Pink Santa this year for St. Jude's Children's Ranch. And a friend of mine who lives in New Jersey said, hey, I want to know who I can help. And tell me how. And I said, oh yeah, we'll send you the link, because it's a link. You go in and you can purchase these gifts for these children. But there was a post today of these two little kids, right? Itty bitty kids that are currently at St. Jude's Children's Ranch. And it just made my heart heavy. And I teared up because I thought, here are these two little souls just happy to go for a walk, and they're holding each other's hands. They have no idea what lays before them, but I do, because I know come December 11th, we're going to do a Christmas drive-by parade and drop off a ton of Christmas gifts for them. And for me, I desire that children not be forgotten, especially the ones that don't have a family of their own or to call their own, or those that are in shelters, to remember, especially during the holiday season, in the midst of the hustle and bustle, that there are kids out there wondering what their holiday might be like, or not even knowing there will be one. So that's what's really on my heart right now. And I told myself, if I show up to these places, I'm going to walk out with like 10 kids and bring them home.
Like, come on.
Come live with me. I'll give you what you want. Like, that's just, yeah. And the reason it hits heavy on my heart is I had a really close friend of mine who she asked me if one day I would open up a children's home with her, because that was a dream of hers. Wow. And I was like, of course, I would absolutely love to do that. Like, say no more. Well, she ended up passing on. And I told myself, one day when I can thrive, like really thrive as an entrepreneur in my business, I am going to open up that children's home in her name. And so that is what's in my heart. That's currently in my heart.
Oh my God, that's so beautiful. That was a beautiful story. And I love that. I know as far as the league goes, we've thought about a lot of ideas of things to get behind and how can we help. And the league is still very new. So it's like there's a lot of stuff going on, and making sure that, we don't get the cart before the horse is something that does have to happen. But I think that children's ministries are always something that you can invest in and just feel so happy to do it. I've never participated. We used to participate as a kid a lot in Angel Tree. And I don't know if you're familiar with that one or not, but we did a lot of that and I always loved it. So I would love to stay in touch with what you've got going on there. and see how maybe the league can also help support. Because I think a lot of times,
Absolutely.
yeah, we want to give, and it's just like we have to make it efficient too. And where's the best place to put your money, and where is it actually going to make it to the intended recipient? Because I know that a lot of times you give to organizations and your money doesn't really go where you think it's going. And so
right.
it's really
and what's fun about this is that they tell us what they wish for. And so we give people the opportunity to donate monetarily, but we encourage really more so to go out there and get that gift that they wish for and wrap it and let them unwrap it. Because I think that's really what's special behind it, is knowing somebody took the effort to go out there and get something that they wanted and made sure that it got in their hands. Yes. So for us, it's, get the gifts and let's get them delivered. So, yeah.
Yeah. So that reminds me a lot of Angel Tree, because it was the same concept.
Yeah.
So you get them what they need and what they're wanting. And so beautiful.
Yes. Beautiful. Yes. I love that.
Oh, okay. So this next question is always fun for me. If you were not Stephanie, but you were talking about Stephanie to another girlfriend and introducing her or telling her about Stephanie, how would you describe yourself?
I would describe myself as funny, authentic, because I do like to lead with authenticity and want people to know that I'm going to always be fully transparent. At times sensitive, meaning that a lot of things impact me in a way that I feel it deeply with my heart. And but then I can be a firecracker when I have to defend myself. So I would say that, if somebody was talking about me, that they would describe me that way. I'm tenacious, I'm funny, but I do like to lead with love. And I think that is something that is very important, because I think when people witness it, then they know that they've come across somebody that will truly care about them, and what they have to bring this to this world. So beautiful. I hope I answered that correctly.
Yes, it was gorgeous. Beautiful. Okay, so now tell me, this question is a little bit deep. So if you need a second, please take it.
Sure.
What vision do you have for the future of humanity?
Oh gosh, that's not difficult, because I do talk to a number of women daily from all over the US. We have our own active group going by text. And I can tell you that what I hope changes is our need to really embrace each other's differences, our need to really embrace who we are as one race, which is the human race. And I would love for people to just be more accepting of one another, and to remember that we're all human, we all feel, and that we all have our own experiences that may not always tell our story the way that we want it to be told. But I think that that's more important to me than anything, is that people accept one another, embrace one another, help one another, love one another. Because at the end of the day, to me, love can move mountains. And I think that in the media, we hear more of the negative stories than we do the beautiful ones. But when you do hear about the beautiful ones that end up surfacing, it reinstills your faith in humanity. You know that there's people out there that want the same things that you do. And that's just to be able to be of service to one another, to help one another. Lead with love.
I like it. That's beautiful. Can you tell me how you've implemented actions into your business to help create that vision?
Oh, I can tell you through the Pink Berets, that's definitely something that we stand by on a regular basis. So we don't offer a cost for our services within the Pink Berets. So if they need individual therapy, if they participate in any one of our programs like culinary art therapy, which is my personal favorite because I'm a foodie, or equine therapy, then they know that there's not going to be a financial barrier to getting the help that they need. And all I've ever asked, and will continue to ask, is that they pay it forward. If they know someone that needs help, let them know we're here, or help them yourself. Find a way to help them the way you are helped. So I think that through your business, always find a way to tell people to pay it forward. If you experienced, an act of generosity of some kind, continue that act of generosity, because then it's going to keep going and keep going. You never know how great an impact you can have by doing that. So
it's very true. Do you feel like this vision that you have for humanity impacts your decision making?
It can, most definitely. I tell myself at the end of the day, I'm definitely not somebody who looks to become wealthy. I think that for me, if I can thrive and build a big enough business, then I'm going to have a bigger ability to change lives. I don't plan on leaving this earth with anything in my hands. So for me, the legacy is very important. And if I can leave behind a legacy where people follow, paying it forward, being of service, continuing to help others, changing lives, saving lives, then I think that in itself is what my contribution will be to the world. So that's my hope.
That's beautiful. Okay, so we're at my last question, and this one's one of my favorites. Actually, there's so many of them. Like I like them all. I think I really just like getting to know everybody in the league, and it's such a beautiful way to do it. But if you could share just one piece of advice or a tip that someone had given you in the past that just really rocked your world and changed your perspective, what would it be?
To keep persevering. And nobody can determine your destiny but you. Nobody can shape your life but you. And I remember a mentor sharing that with me. Times where I just feel like I was in my depths of despair. She would remind me that I'm in control of my universe. Nobody else can control it. So if I feel like I failed, that I need to get back up and do something about it. So I would say that has been one of those great reminders that you are in control of your destiny, and only you can make you happen.
That's true. There's only one of you, so that person needs to happen. We all do. Oh, Stephanie, thank you so much. I thoroughly enjoyed getting to know you better. And I know that the women of the league are going to love to see your interview and be able to connect with you. So thank you for taking the time.
Well, thank you for giving me the opportunity to share a little bit about me. And thank you so much for taking time with me today. I appreciate you.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you so much. And I hope that we'll see you at the event Thursday.
I hope so. Yes.
All right. Have a good one. Thank you so much.
Bye, you too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.